part 3 of accounting cleanup, we're going to look at how to clean up your taxes and payroll liabilities if needed. And then we're going to go into the general ledger, show you how to pull up the data, make sure you have everything accurate, and then we're going to go make some adjustments in there. Now, when we do the general ledger, we're just going to do like a couple asset accounts, maybe a couple liabilities, equity, a couple income and expense accounts. Now, this task will be very tedious, so you're going to spend a lot of time in there. And then when it's all done, I'll show you where all the information is on how to go back and put in opening balances. At this point, we want to clear out any taxes or any payroll liabilities that you may have entered. Now, chances are you probably did not enter payroll in the system, and that's okay. So that should all be nice and clean. But the taxes will automatically accumulate as you use the system. So we do want to zero that out. So we're going to go over to taxes and payroll. And we're going to go to our first tax agency. So this happens to be Canada Revenue. Now, it doesn't matter if it's Minister of Finance, if it's a tire tax, a battery tax, a state sales tax if you're United States. So these numbers do need to be zeroed out. Now, again, I'm going to set my end date here to November 30. So I'm going to go to November 30. And I hit refresh. Now, the easy way to do this is to just simply do an adjustment on each line to the clearing account. So for example, here I have installments paid of $1,500. I highlight the line. I'm going to go up here and do an adjustment. And again, set my date back to November 30. And where am I going to adjust it to? It's going to go to the clearing account. And you got the little description in, so I'm just going to say clear. Now, what do I put in? Is it a positive or a negative? If you make a mistake, it's not a problem. You just go ahead and hit OK, put it in. If you find it's wrong, you just make another adjustment. That's all you got to do. So here I have 1,500, so I'm going to try to take out 1,500. I hit OK, and you see now that's zeroed out. So now all I'm going to do is just go to the next one, do an adjustment. Again, November 30. I'm going to do my clearing account. And I'm going to do 557.33. Click OK. And again, that should be 0. And then we'll do our last one. Again, set my date back. Goes to clearing. Okay, negative. Hit OK. Now I have my account zeroed out. And that is exactly how you want this to look. Now, you will have taxes that are due for November that typically you would pay in December. So we will go back later on and go enter opening balances or starting balances so you have something to pay off of. But that's all it is. You're just going to go down your line. So whatever you have in your list here under tax agencies, you're going to go zero them all out. Same thing would go with any payroll liabilities if you had entered payroll. If you want to zero them, just click. Find, who it is. Is it U.S. Treasury, Receiver General, any other deductions you're doing. Set your date back. Hit refresh. And then you're just going to go right down the line and zero them out also. So you do want to clear all these taxes and any payroll liabilities that you do have in here. So before you start on the general ledger portion of the adjustments. So once you're completed with your taxes and payroll, you're going to go to your general ledger. Now, the first thing you want to do in the general ledger is go down to the bottom left corner, click on Include Inactive. So you may have had accounts over the years that you were using, but you decided to quit using them, or you may not have any at all. So anywhere where you see this black X, that's letting you know that that was used at one time and you made them inactive. Okay. Now, I go to my trial balance. So here I want to pull up the balance of all of my assets, liabilities, equities, income, and expense. Now with equities, retained earnings and total retained earnings, this right here, you cannot change. Now we can change opening balances and previous retained earnings. So when you go to do this, go to your trial balance, you're going to go to a custom date range. Now in my case, again, we're going to stick with November 30th, but what do I use for a start date? So I started using the system clear back in 2019. So if I go back to 2019, January 1, and then I change the 2 to November 30. I don't want to do that. Let's go to November 30, last year. There we go. Then I hit refresh. And then these will be all of my accounts and the values in them. So when you think about this, there are going to be some things you're not going to adjust at all. First of all, especially when it comes to inventory. So, if you have been doing consignments and you're going to continue doing consignments, leave it alone. We're not going to adjust that. This is going to be parts received for work in progress. So you might have parts, supplier invoices, that you've received on open work orders and they're still open. Any returns that you have still coming back to you, and stocking inventory. So remember, you did the recount at the very beginning to get the count correct. Now, accounts like this investment account, do you have receivables? Are you still going to be using the receivables as they are? Just leave this one alone, where these we're going to clear out. You'll notice also we even have like a vehicle here. We have a bank account that we no longer use, so we can zero that out. Payables should be pretty much zeroed out. You might have an invoice or two waiting to be posted. Okay. Here we have like Blue Cross, things like that. Canada Revenue, notice that's my tax has zeroed out. Deposits. Now, if you have any open deposits still, maybe on work orders, then leave that alone. Opening balances, maybe previous retained earnings. If you want to clear that, you certainly can. On your income accounts, like here we have rebates. Do we want to keep the receivable charges in there? The big question is going to come with sales income. If I go and zero these out on November 30th, that means all my sales figures on that day are going to be zero, or actually a negative. Okay. So you want to kind of be careful with that. You might want to consult your accountant or your CPA and ask them if you don't want to zero that or not. And then you'll have, various expense accounts. Now, when it comes to the expense accounts, again, you're going to have, your cost of goods sold. Do you want to zero those out also? So what I would suggest is, step one is, once you get your date set and you have it refreshed, maybe export this out to a PDF. So at this point, before we start doing any adjustments, what you want to do is kind of look down your list here and see what is inactive. In other words, what has the X and has a balance in it. So anything like that, what you want to do is just click on it, right click, edit, and you're going to make it active. So you're going to uncheck the box. The reason why that is if you don't do this, when I go to the transactions here and start clearing, it won't show up. So here I have this bank, for example. I'm going to right click on it. I'm going to edit, uncheck the box. So just kind of look down your list and see, is there anything in here like that? It's like Blue Cross. You see there's a balance in here, but it's inactive. So I just right click, edit, make it active. That's all I'm doing. Just go right down the line. Here we have a tire changer, but there's no value in it, so we don't have to worry about it. You know, here's a Dodge Caravan with 5,500 on it. So we're going to right click, going to edit, make it active. We can always go back and make it inactive after we're done. All right, we're going to refresh. Now we're going to go start cleaning stuff out. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a transaction with a couple of assets. We're going to do a transaction with a couple of liabilities. We're going to do a transaction with the equity, couple income, and then what we're going to do is do a couple of expenses so you can see how it works. Again, this is going to be quite tedious. You're going to end up going back here multiple times. So just kind of take your time and do what you can do, what you're comfortable with. So we're going to go up here to new transaction. I'm going to set this back to November 30. We're going to add a line. There's that vehicle. And again, we're just, clearing the account. You can put in whatever you want in the description. So here, this is going to be a negative $100.12. And then we're going to add another line. There's that bank asset. Now, somebody had manually entered that bank. That wasn't actually set up as a real bank in the financials. So this one's going to be pretty easy. So this is going to be clear. And that's going to be a negative 30,693.00. And then the last line that I'm going to do here, it's always going to be your last line, is going to be your clearing account. So we're just doing some assets. All right. Now let's post it and see what happens. So you'll notice now you see this is at 0. And now that bank account's at 0. So at this point here, when I'm done, I can go back and make him inactive if I want. If I want to leave him there to be used, then just don't make him inactive. So let's go do a couple of liabilities. So here we have this Blue Cross. And then we have, let's see here. Maybe this payroll clearing. That's a negative amount here. So that'll have to go in as a positive. The Blue Cross will go in as a negative to 0 that. So let's go do a couple liabilities. So again, we're going to date this back. I'm going to add a line. I'm going to look for Blue Cross. And we're going to clear. So that amount was 93.17 negative. And then we're going to add a line. We're going to look for payroll liability, I believe it was. Let's go see. Oh, did we make it? Let's go look at our general ledger here. Oh, they call it payroll clearing. That's right. Payroll clearing. There we go. Clear. Again, just take your time while you're doing this. Again, you're going to be spending a lot of time back here doing it. So that's going to be a wait a minute. That was put in as a negative, so we're going to put it as a positive. So it's going to be 3587.55. And then we're going to go add our clearing line. And let's see what happens. So we post. There's our Blue Cross payroll clearing. Zeroed out. Now, again, if you're not going to use these, just make them inactive. Or if you want to leave them there, leave them there. Let's go look at an equity account. Now you notice here it has opening balances and previous retained earnings. Let's go back and look at a balance sheet real quick. One of the things I want to point out here again to you is on the equities, this net income and retained earnings here, you cannot change these numbers. These are just a reflection of, everything that is going in the system and cost of business. So, but these we can, these two. So let's go back. We're going to do equities. Again, we're going to date this back. November 30. Add a line. We're going to go to opening balances. Then we're going to clear. And let's pull up my paperwork here and see what our total was. Pretty big. So that's going to be a negative $1,068,865.58. I'm going to add another line. And that's going to bring the previous retained earnings. I'm going to clear that out. And that was going to be a negative $50,000. And then we're going to add a line. And this is going to be our expense account. We'll post that. And our opening balances and our previous retained earnings are zeroed out. Let's do a couple little income ones. We'll do rebates and refunds. Now, again, go back to your accountant and see about the sales income and the cost of sales. And the reason for that is, remember, if I go zero these on that day, that means when you go pull your reports and you look at all your sales reports, like vital signs and stuff, it's going to be zeroed out for that day. So you may not want to adjust these. But we can go definitely do rebates and refunds here. If you want to zero out the receivable charges, we can do that too. So again, we're going to go new transaction, back date, November 30, add a line. So we go refunds. Here we go. I'm going to clear. I'm going to hit tab. And our amount there was 3839.63. So I'm going to take out 3839.63. We're going to add a line. And let's go to receivable charges. There we go. And we're going to clear that out. And that total is 468.83. So that's a negative. That's going to be a negative. So clear. Now we're going to clear it out. And we're going to post. So 0 and 0. And then the last thing will be any expenses. Now this is where it usually gets pretty tedious because if you've been entering bills and stuff over the years, you're going to have a lot of expenses in here. Okay. But let's just go zero out some stuff. Maybe we got some bad debts here we want to zero out. Maybe a internal warranty or cash drawers, things like that. Could be, adjustments. Look at all these adjustments we got here. So we need to probably clear that stuff out too. So let's go take a couple of them here. We'll do bad debts. We'll do some recounts. And wow, look at this insurance one. That's a negative $500,000. Somebody was really upside down on that stuff. So let's go do a new transaction. I'm going to add a line. Okay, so let's go start with bad debts. Okay, that total was $722.78. I'm going to do it as a negative. Okay, and that insurance one. Now that one was a negative $500,000 or so. So since that was a negative, I'll put that in as a positive. Okay, so I'm just offsetting that expense. 543, 600. Okay. And we'll do one more expense here. How about we do licenses and dues, or let's do general office. That'd be an easy one. A lot of people do general office. General office expense. And then what we do here is just put in whatever that was. General office is 1503 minus 1503. And then the last one we're going to do is recounts. So let's go add a line. Recounts, that's your inventory recounts. Let's see what we got there. Oh, I think we're okay there. Oh no, I take that back. We had 45,000. So we're gonna do a negative 45,000, 249.02. And let's see what happens. Oh, I guess we're put clear in here. Leave that line. There we go. Oh, we still need to put our offsetting entry, right? So we got one more line to do. So what if I did not do this? Or if I had the wrong stuff in? See, when I go to post this, remember, it'll let you know if it's not in balance. So you have to go fix it. Okay. So we need to go put our last line in. It automatically puts in the offsetting balancing number. Post it, see what happens. So now that $500,000 insurance mistake is gone, our office is cleaned up, our inventory recounts are cleaned up. So again, all you're going to do is just kind of take your time, go through each one, make sure you get your adjustments in, zero stuff out. Now, when you're done and you feel pretty confident you got it in, what you want to do is you're going to take this clearing account and you're just going to click on it, right click, do an edit, and go make it inactive. And any other account that you have that you're not going to use anymore, make them inactive. And we're going to refresh. Now we go back and we go look at our trial balance. And again, I'm going to go set this back. We'll just go set it all the way back to 2019. We'll go back here, click, 2019. Basically, I just did this because that's when we started using this system here. And this is going to go to November 2023. There we go. Refresh. See, now it's starting to look cleaned up. There's my clearing account. Now, what happens if I change this to December 1 forward? We just set this to last month. We're going to go to December 1 forward. So that's December 1 forward. And we can actually do this to today if we want. We refresh. Now we go back and look. See, even those accounts, see, 0, 0, 0. So basically, you just check it that way. Look at 12/1, because that's what you're going to do from 12/1 forward, since we adjusted everything to November 30. So after you're finished and you think you pretty much have everything straightened out, you can always, turn this off, get rid of the inactive, okay? And then at this point, you're going to want to go back and put in starting balances. In other words, I might want to put in a starting balance in my checking account. Have some uncleared checks in there maybe that I wrote in November that hadn't cleared until December. So I need to have those kind of figures in. I want to put in tax balances as of the end of November because I'm going to remit them in December. So anything that you want to have from December 1 forward, you're going to put them in as an opening balance entry. And I'll show you where you can find the information for that. So to find the information for entering opening balances, you're just simply going to go to the help section, which is the circle with the question mark. It's going to load up the help. And what you want to do is go to the location training tours. And again, these are all on the YouTube channel. So you're going to have to scroll quite a ways down. You're going to have to get down to almost to the bottom of the list here. And then here will be the section on opening balances. There's a little overview. And basically, anytime somebody goes live with the system and they're using the accounting, then we're going to use this area of the videos to go over opening balances, setting up receivables and payables. Now, if you left your receivables alone and you've already zeroed out your payables, you should be pretty good shape, and unless you want to put in like a statement that comes in December, say, hey, this is a statement for November or whatever, you can put that balance in, cash drawer, bank, credit cards, tax balances. If you're going to start entering payroll, you can put in payroll balances, liabilities and things like that. There is a little PDF document right here. you can go to here and then you can, save it, download it, or print it off. And this just gives you step-by-step guidance on how to do this. Again, please bear in mind when you're doing this, this is not going to happen all in one day. This is going to take you a little while. You're going to have to go back, make some adjustments here and there. Basically, you're just making sure that whatever that date is that you want to clear, you always stick with that date. And that way, from that next day forward, that's when you're going to have very accurate general ledger. And if you need more help, please don't hesitate to contact any of the trainers or support people. We'll be glad to help you.